Hello, I'm Priscilla Archangel, and my leadership lesson for you today is, what does your culture look like? Around my home, my husband and I have planted a number of bushes several years ago, and in the spring and summer they grow and blossom beautifully. So the other day I decided to take a little closer look at the bushes because I thought they were looking just a tad bit different than we anticipated. And as I got closer, I recognized that instead of a beautiful big bush, half of it was filled with weeds that had grown up, and weeds that looked really almost identical to what we planted, but it wasn't the same, and it wasn't what we intended to be there. As I thought about that, I realized how much that mirrors the culture that we as leaders try to cultivate in our organizations. And if we spend too much time away from that culture and not continuing to cultivate it and nurture it, it can grow into something that is totally different from what we planned and intended. A colleague shared with me recently about a large manufacturing company with a lengthy product development cycle. And in that organization, the entry-level engineers are tasked with doing product development, and they find some faults sometimes, some issues and problems in the products they're being asked to develop. But unfortunately, this company does not have the type of culture that encourages people to speak up and share their concerns and share their issues. And as a result, those problems persist for several years until finally down the road they delay the product launch, and it costs the company lots of money and cost overruns when the problems are finally discovered. The same happens in our personal and professional lives when seemingly small and insignificant behavioral issues manifest themselves in ways down the road that turn into career derailers, or they ruin personal relationships. So think about the culture that you're trying to develop in your organization, with your team, and with your relationships. 4 things to remember. First of all, frame the desired environment you want. What do you want it to look like? What do you want that environment to be? How do you want people to interact with one another? Next, identify the behaviors and policies to change that are really thwarting the things that you want to occur. And then thirdly, determine the habits that you want to instead instill in the organization. Lastly, think about the reward and reinforcement systems that you must have in place, because these are the things that employees will rely on and will look to help embed the right behavior in them. Remember that they're going to look at what the leaders do, not just what the leaders say. They will look at those behaviors and they'll look at how they're rewarded, whether monetarily or in other intrinsic ways. But specifically, shape the culture that you want to have in your organization. Don't stay too far away from it. Stay close to it so that you can really understand and see what's going on. Thanks for listening.